All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Rooftops of America live stream. It's taken a while for me to dive into the deep end on this, but I figured, hey, no time like the present. I see six people here, which is shocking to me that I was worried that I would jump on and there would be nobody present, but you guys have made my day. So I'll start with a half dozen any day of the week. Thanks for being here. And what can I say? What do you guys want to know about Rooftops of America? Well, let me give you a couple channel updates on where we are. So I'm hoping that you guys can all hear me right now. Awesome. Hey, the pretzel too. I'm doing well. It's Sunday. My face is a little puffed up because of allergies, but other than that, things are going really well. Um, so let's talk about Rooftops of America for a bit. Give you some updates on where we're going with the channel. I'm pretty sure some of you that have been watching this for a while have realized that. Hey, CTOS, nice to see you here. Um, have been wondering sort of on the pacing of things right now. Surprisingly, oh, and guess what? We have a special guest star here tonight. This is my cat. Her name's Rufus. She loves to participate in these in my work calls, and I'm thinking she thinks this is a work call too. There she is, right there. Um, so yeah, so we got that going. Um, all right, so let's see. Chat's coming in. Traveling Roman or Ronman. Hello, Lover Fishy. Hi Jess, how have you been? Um, do I have a count right for you? 38 as of today. Um, and two territories on top of that as well. So, um, Eric, Eric Kelly, nice to see you. Right down below in Maryland. Um, yeah, 38. We just knocked our. I just knocked out Puerto Rico territory high point in February, and that was really cool. If you ever get a chance to go, the Isle of Enchantment is amazing. If you're a coffee lover, you're gonna love it. San Juan was really cool. I wish we would have had a little more time. We spent basically 3.5 days trying to film as much stuff as we could on the island. The three you would be missing would be Utah, which hasn't come out yet, um, Tennessee, which I bagged years and years ago and lived in that state for a while. And let's see, what would be the other one? Man, you're gonna put me in the Wayback Machine. Um, Nevada, maybe. Um, hey, Bill. Thanks. It's. I think we're gonna probably be doing this going forward a little bit. Um, Ray found your channel about a month ago. So far, like some of the older videos and the more recent ones. Thanks. Over the time, you've probably noticed that we went from doing like 5 minute, 10 minute things to now trying to produce more documentary long form stuff. And that's actually sort of the trend we're going to keep doing. I want to keep going back to some of these places and refilming it. You may have seen the Wisconsin one in November, which it's funny. Like when I did Wisconsin and the first time, September 2016, it was I was so proud of that. I still am proud. Everything I've ever done for the channel, I'm really proud of the work, either myself solo or with my friends. I'm proud of everything we've ever done. Though, looking back, say Arkansas was the first thing I ever shot, and looking at Arkansas these days now, because in May will have been 7 years since I shot that. It's crazy how that took so much time just to get like 3 minutes, less than 4 minutes. And now I could take that same amount of time and give you something that's a half hour. Um, Let's see what else. Oh, the shorts. Hey, Archie, nice to see you here. Yeah, the shorts were an idea. This is I'm gonna have to get used to this format. I had a list, believe it or not, that I was gonna work out, and maybe we'll get on touch base on that. The shorts were my son's idea. He watches YouTube in the morning before school, and he's always watching the shorts. And he was the one that came up with the idea of like, "Hey, Dad, maybe you should do some of these." So we came up with the idea of artificial intelligence using like Chat GPT and Dolly to produce the images, and the comparing and the contrasting of those. And those were pretty cool to make. Um, let's see. Of the ones you've done so far, which has been the hardest hike? Nevada, hands down. Nevada was a bad day. You can't tell because that's acting. But when I was on the summit, uh, my buddy Brett, who filmed that episode, who did most of the DP work, would have. There is a B roll. There's B roll out there of me about 50 feet below the summit, suffering from altitude sickness, convincing myself to not throw up and grunt up the rest of the way to like motivate myself to get that last 50 feet. And then what you see at the summit is me literally, putting on the face and acting like everything's a-okay. But Nevada, hands down, was a rough hike. In fact, going up was tough. Coming down was actually worse. Um, Maximum Outdoors, nice to see you. Congratulations, man. Again, I know I mentioned that a while back, but congratulations. Um, Eric, what year do you plan to summit your last mountain Denali? I would always hope to do the 50 when I hit 50, and that's in 2 years. So May is my birthday. So yeah, the goal was to try to do Denali when I hit 50. Uh, nice. I like the joke, Bill. It is like producing an entire magazine. I was gonna say things coming up for the channel. As you probably know, things have taken it's slowed down a little bit, and that's because my other job has decided that I apparently need to have more stuff on my plate. So we had some things shift around, and that has creeped in a little bit with Rooftops of America stuff. So hopefully, as more staff come on for the other job, I can start, getting things back to being able to produce Rooftops of America and finish Rooftops of the solar system too. For those that are that have been watching that over what started as a lark um, 3 years ago became its own little thing during the pandemic, and now I feel like I've got us all the way past Neptune. It's time to finish up with Pluto, and then one more episode after that, or two more, probably two more episodes after that, and wrap that up. That's a 21. How long for the pretzel too? 21. How long have you been going? 23 for traveling around, man. Um, I've watched Maryland. Maryland was a redo, actually. If you saw the most recent, I went back to Maryland in the fall of last year. All right, she's going to step away. Excuse me. Yeah, I hit 10. It'll be 10 years since, and she's going to come back. So cat management is going to become a live stream skill here. I started this journey 10 years ago. So you're on a good pace for 5 to 7. That's not bad. I know some people love to blow through them, but I'm sort of happy of taking the longer trip to do these. Speaking of Whitney, that was our big summer plan this year. Fall plan, late summer, but we didn't make it through the lottery. So we are going back to Arizona in August instead. And we're going to refilm Humphreys Peak, which was my first big peak, significant over 10,000 feet. My very first high point was unofficially would have been Tim's Hill. Uh, I think I've mentioned it in comments in that, but I grew up like 30 minutes away from Tim's Hill. If for some reason when you're ever going there, if you go either up 97 or on Wisconsin Highway 64, you're going to be about a half mile from my parents' farm at some point on that journey. So Tim's Hill was the first one I ever visited as a kid, but I had no inclination to do the state high points at that point. It was just a cool thing that we happened to live near, like one of the few cool things of living in Medford, Wisconsin. Um, so my first official one was in 2013, August, actually on my way to my 20-year high school reunion of all things. And I was driving down I-70 and I saw a sign for the Indiana State High Point right as you cross into Indiana from Ohio. And I pulled over and decided to go and check out Hoosier Hill, which I think for a lot of people, if you go to Hoosier Hill and it's the first one you ever see, you'll probably be like, no. Why? But for me, I loved it. I remember talking to my friend Matt after leaving it, how how much like this is cool, and like for those that you have not have the privilege of Hoosier Hill, um let's just say it's low effort. So Eric, the High Safari, or sorry, the Pretzel 2, the High Safari, South Dakota. South Dakota was great. I love that place. Eric, what guides are you using to Summit, Rainier, and Denali? Undetermined yet. We're going to have some pretty serious conversations with the crew, actually, probably down in Arizona after we do Humphreys, reshoot that, but spend some time really starting to sketch out how we want to approach um, Rainier, Alaska, stuff like that. Um, yeah, Archie, you're right. Agrahan is almost as tough as Nolan Turner's Alicia. Yes, absolutely. I think you could make a really good argument that it's harder to get out to Agrahan. Um, and yeah, I actually enjoyed Hoosier Hill. Yeah. Um, your boy Alex, welcome. Yes, a live stream. Finally, finally. And hopefully we'll be doing more of these too. Highest I've been on Pikes Peak. I've never actually been to Pikes Peak. I've seen it. Um, and if you get a chance, of course, you'll eventually go up Elbert. Elbert's a great hike. Loverfishy, who is on here, actually hiked Elbert with me. And that was in 2018. That was the first time we ever did a longer type of episode. Like I think we came in, and looking at it now, like Colorado came in around 25 minutes, and knowing what I know now, we could have easily did a solid 47. I just the writing wasn't there just yet. For Rainier, I'd plan to just buy a package for a hiking group. Yeah. Once you I was talking to a friend of mine about Denali, and like part of it is the reason it's still far out is we're still saving up. So like it's going to be a huge investment. Um, yeah, Indiana and I actually want to get back to Indiana and actually really film that episode. I feel that there was more I could have done with Hoosier Hill. But once again, that was right at the point where I was starting to figure out the longer format. I just hadn't done it yet. What is the most dangerous U.S. state high point? Man, that is a interesting question. I don't know. You could put a really good case at Mount Washington, New Hampshire. A lot of people die on that peak uh, because it has absolutely wild weather. People go in underestimating it. And remember, this is a mountain that at one point had the literal coldest temperature ever recorded. And just recently, I think Archie had sent me a thing. on this about the lowest wind chill ever or the coldest wind chill. It's crazy. So, um, Mount Washington. See, people when they go to Denali, they know that it's going to be significant. But Mount Washington is one of these things where people think they can just hike that thing in flip flops and with minimal gear, and then the weather drastically shifts and they get hypothermia, and it's a deadly little mountain. Ever been to any of the conventions? Surprisingly, no. I missed out on the one in Pennsylvania, and I live here, and I'm trying to see if I can actually figure out to get to Georgia and do the one by Brasstown Bald this year. Fingers crossed. Um, so what's going on with Rooftops right now? Well, like I said, we went to Puerto Rico in February. We shot that, so that episode's on the way. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think the writing is strong. The person who shot it was the first time they came out with me. His name's Sil Floria, and he's excellent. He's an excellent videographer, photographer, the whole works. So I'm really curious to see what we're going to get. We also were able to really get the drone into play this time around. So um, it should be pretty cool. And the next thing I'm planning on filming is finally getting around to filming Clingman Stone, Tennessee, next week. Yeah, not this week, but next week while we're down in. Yes, I do watch The Wandering Woodsman. I remember when he started out, and he was a small channel, and he has just blown up. It's incredible to see. He's a very interesting guy. Um, Brasstown Bald is a breeze, sea toss, but there is a really good hike if you really want to add a challenge. There is a hike. I can't think of the name of the trail that can give you a good time. Um, so I hope to do that this year. I was fun. Yeah, part of the six pack. It's funny when you talk about the six for those that might be following the chat that don't know, the Southern six pack is um, let's see if I can get them all right. Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia. The one that always throws that whole Southern six pack off is Virginia, because that's the one that requires the actual hike. The rest are all pretty easy to drive up, depending when you go. And yeah, so you can get most of those relatively easily, except for Virginia. So what else is going on? You saw talk a little bit about shorts, talked about it's coming up. Summer plans, like I said, Whitney is out of the running for this year. I'm hoping that we'll get it next year. So we're going back to Arizona. I'm planning on actually doing New York also this summer, and then Vermont. Vermont's, by the way, the only peak I've ever busted out on was Mount Mansfield. So far, fingers crossed again. Mansfield, that was in February 2017. We were going to do a winter ascent, and it was just a rough day. So yes, fun fact, some people believe that Oklahoma's high point is in East Oklahoma up in the Ozarks. Yep, it's Oklahoma, just like Kansas on that eastern side, is not that high elevation wise, and the states are well, I guess they'd be canted this way depending on and they go up. There's also in eastern Oklahoma, I can't think of the name, but there's this one place that says they have the tallest hill in the world. It's either 1,999 feet or just shy of 2,000. So that I've wanted, if I ever when I get back to Oklahoma, I'd actually like to hit that little hill and then go out and redo Black Mesa. Are you planning to invite your subscribers on a summit hike? I've never considered it. So shame on me. I would consider it. We'd have to plan something out. It's funny, when I think about it, I never really quite on the production side of things. Oh, Rufus has decided to make herself known again. Come here. Oh my goodness. So that's something I think would be worth considering. Um, but like normally when I'm planning these things, I just plan the production side. Like we got to do this, we got to do this, got to do this, and I never really quite take beyond that. But I do get back to high points on a fairly regular basis. I'll give a shout out if anybody is coming to Ebright Asmith. These days, I live in Valley Forge, so that's only like 30 miles away. So, uh, so yes, send me a note if you're going to hit Delaware, Ebright Asmith. Happy to do a summit hike, and then tell you like go if you want a good hike. Go check out the Tri Point and the start of the East West line for Mason Dixon. Um, let's see, Archie. What are first Bill? Yeah, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland are definitely a grouping, and for a slightly longer day, you could then do the race to DC and pick up Point Reno. But it does add a significant amount of time. Um, let's see, plans for Lada in American Samoa. I've put notes on paper. I've looked at some trip reports, and beyond that, right now it's still vague. I know we want to do it. I know it's going to take a significant amount of time investment to do Ladder Mountain simply just to get to American Samoa. But beyond that, I haven't really given it a lot of thought. As for New England, New Hampshire, and Maine, well, that's a whole lot more realistic. Um, I'm thinking New York in July. I think also I can probably knock out New Hampshire in the beginning of August. Maine's a little trickier. I haven't quite got that one figured out. Um, so the highest elevation is Mansfield. We're very close to being. Is Mansfield near Bellefontaine? I said, if you watch the episode, I call it Bellefontaine because I thought, of course, this looks like a French word. It's going to have French pronunciation. And I was immediately corrected. It's Bellefontaine. So I might go to Eastern University as far as to go there. I think, yeah, Kavanaugh Mountain in Leflore County. I think that might be that's also. Yeah, you can do. If you have time, you can do a heck of a good Midwest loop, also for the High Points states and territories. Yeah, because Ohio and Indiana also make a very good grouping. Yes, we have looked into the Marianas High Point. That's Agrihan. First summited, actually not that long. Officially summited just a few years ago, but it's substantial. Like it's an expedition if you're going to get to the Northern Marianas to Agrihan. And if you're going to do that, you might as well pick up Guam because you got to go to Guam. So, Pretzel 2 hit me up for Bora. Yes. So Bora was actually, when we were looking at the list of peaks this year, it was Whitney, Bora, or return to Arizona. And the way it shook out was the return to Arizona made the most sense. Once we found out we didn't get the Whitney lottery, Bora, we just couldn't get our schedules in line for it. So, cool show of the High Points of USA. And to a number of the easy ones. It's funny, some of those easy ones can be quite a challenge in their own right, especially if you end up having car problems or you're going, like downpours, things like that. I've heard more than a few people have busted out on what they think is like, oh, this is just a quick little drive. We're going to go, Mount Arvin up in Michigan is a classic one where it's like, this seems you can drive all the way up, even though a good chunk of that drive once you get to past Baraga is like on logging roads. Um, yes, this is Rufus. You can see her right here. Um, how about Hood, Archie? Um, next year is the plan for Hood. So we were looking at Timberland Guides. I believe it's the name Timberland Guides for Hood. The biggest challenge I have for some of those peaks is trying to figure out how we can produce something that's worth watching, and give people basically, give you a good show. So not just climb the peak, but how are we going to, film that as we climb the peak? So um, it's it's that's always been the challenge on all of these, is not just the climb, but figuring out how to get great footage to do this, and give people something enjoyable to watch. Beholden Yeti, yo, good to catch with you. Okay, thanks. Started my journey in 2020. Currently in 20, you are racing. Ah, thanks. I'm glad that these videos helped. Um, what's next after Denali, Rooftops of the World? So it's funny you say that. In a much smaller scale, I have written two other um, countries out. Uh, Not just like outlines, but substantial elements of the script. One is the British Isles. So it would be Ireland, looking at the 4 or 5 historic provinces, depending how you want to cut it. Isle of Man, Scotland, Wales, England, and then the 2 crown dependencies of Guernsey and Jersey in the Channel. And then Japan, actually, all the significant islands. And then to include Okinawa, because I'd love to get back there. Was stationed there a long time ago, 1994. So almost 30 years, and I've wanted to go back for a long time. So, but Rooftops of the World, unless somebody's going to give me a whole bunch of money, will always probably be in small doses. Uh, Surprisingly, the next series we're going to produce is going to start this summer, and it's, as you probably have already gathered, I love history, and but this is going to be completely different than High Points, and it's more driven around the history of Philadelphia. So more to come on that. That actually is going to be. I'm excited on this particular project. So, but don't fear. I have every intent of finishing this series, because the desire to get up on those mountains is strong. Yeah, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee can be done on a weekend. Yep, you are correct. They sure can. Okay, the Great Plains. You could make a good case, even though it's the Black Hills. Technically, it's part of the Great Plains, so it would be what should I call it? Black Elk Peak, South Dakota. And yeah, as an Orioles fan said, Panorama Point in New England. Panorama Point in New England, or not New England, Nebraska. Good grief, Panorama Point in Nebraska um, is one of my favorite places. Like, you get there, and you're standing there, and you're looking out, and all you see is the plains, and you're still over a mile high in elevation. Oh, pretzel two. Thinking of car problem in elevation. Oh, pretzel two. Thinking of car problems. Um, oof, that's rough. Yeah, because Charles Mound, man. Um, there's, Galena's what? It's the biggest city there, and it's still like 30 miles away. So you're sort of stuck out in the middle of not much. Beholden Yeti, what would you say is your favorite high point? Guadalupe Peak, hands down, has been I've had so it's funny to like I've had some great experiences with my friends, and when we film this and that. But for me personally, Guadalupe Peak, Texas, there was just something about that place that was really really cool. I loved it. I really want to go back there, and probably not in December like we did the first time, but probably the first or second week in November to really get that whole fall experience, especially in like McKittrick Canyon. I suppose it's gorgeous. Um, Orioles fan. How did I get interested in high pointing? I love lists. So I like to be able to work down and check things off. And when I was, like I mentioned, going to my 20-year class reunion, I was sort of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next for something. And like I said, I was pondering these questions on the drive and saw that thing for Indiana, for Hoosier Hill. And, go 20 minutes out of your way and find a new life goal. So that's what happened. Um, it was cool. It was like, because then over the course of that weekend, knocked out Hoosier Hill. And then since I was up in Medford, I went back to Tim's Hill to make it official. And then on the way back, because I was living in Blacksburg, Virginia at the time, I picked up Campbell Hill, Ohio. And then over the course of the next couple months, I started doing that whole Appalachian stretch from Pennsylvania down to South Carolina. So um, there is a Tri-State Northern Waters. Yes, there is. Um, there is, and it's you can actually see that tri-state marker from Panorama Point. Um, my favorite is Blackout Peak. Yes. So Blackout Peak was my buddy Dave and I went up that, and that was 20. It was also 2018, and there were sections where the cloud we were literally walking above the clouds, and you could look out, and it was the closest thing I've seen in the States that really gave a feeling of sort of like Lord of the Rings and that adventure, that wild feeling. It was really cool. Um, so yeah, Charles Mound is on private property, but they do allow people to go. So first weekend up throughout the summer, and then usually the President's Day weekend in Illinois. So they could be real jerks about it and lock it up, but this is something that the high pointing community has done a really good job of, respecting the landowners' wishes. In my funny little like part of me is like, maybe whenever they decide if they're going to move away, maybe my goal is to buy that high point and open it up to the general public. But that's pipe dream. Um, four weekends in the summer, starting in June through September, and then the fifth in the middle of February. So 5 weekends. Um, there was a Archie. What would you say is harder, every world country high point or every U.S. county high point? Well, number wise, there's three. Number wise, there's a good 3,000 for county high points. Um, I think you're going to be more consumed doing county high points than you would with world country high points. High point you're most looking forward to climbing that you haven't yet? Good question. That's a good question. Gannett, I think. Gannett really seems to be like, I feel like, people say do Rainier and then do Denali. I feel you got to do Gannett as well, because it's such a challenge. It's such a technical challenge packed on with a ton of work just to get there. So I think that one, um, that's the one that sort of keeps me up at night. Can I do Gannett? So, um, wow. I didn't give you the. Uh, okay. Any points of. That's a good question. I don't know. I've never really worked on the scale like that. No, I've not done Hood, not yet. But perhaps some of the folks here on the chat have. And if you have, let Neil know. Hood's on the docket for next year. So, um, man, thanks everybody. This has been a lot of fun. Um, what else? Let's see. What did I actually have on my to-do list that I didn't knock out? Hold on a second. All right. Huh. I think we talked about it all. So, um, good question, CTOS. Do you have an emergency kit like satellite cell phone? Good question, CTOS. Do you have an emergency kit like satellite cell phone? And no, I do not. So we do carry like first aid kit and all that stuff, but I don't have a sat phone. Not for any of the stuff that we've done that would have been a day trip. We've talked about once we do something like Gannett or Granite, that's might be an investment. Denali, but then it would be sort of the guide service, I'm thinking. So more research to follow on that. But so far, for everything we've done, the only overnight so far has been Utah. So, and even then, you are surrounded by a lot of people in the summer. Please mention The Shining when you do that. I'll have to work it in. Oh, lover fishing. They summit Colorado 14ers in heels too, just seeking attention. Yes. I will never summit anything in high heels. I don't think the world wants to see that. So, Edge TV Philippines, hello to you too. Let's see, what else would you guys like to know? Any pressing question? What are your plans for this summer? What high points do you guys want to hit? Or places, even just travel that you're planning on going to? Anything in particular that you're looking forward to? So welcome, Edge TV Philippines. Good old I hang my hat in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, USA. No, I've done a few county high points. I've got a couple wild stories from some county high points that maybe someday I'll share, but not right here, not right now for the general public. But mainly I've focused on state high points. So traveling around, I got Illinois already planned. Hopefully get out to Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma. Yeah, that's a good set. Neil, thinking of backpacking Wheeler Peak. Oh, nice. That's a good hike. Yeah. Man, Wheeler was cool. I liked Wheeler. I liked it a lot. We did that in June. We did it on the first day of summer, and it literally was like hiking up in winter because there was so much snow that year. That was in 2019. Let's see. Back when I did Louisiana, I used your videos as sort of a guide. Yeah. So thanks for holding Yeti. Everything I'd seen on Louisiana, and that's another one I want to go back and get. It was always interesting. Like, then nobody was showing anything about the actual hike up Driscoll Mountain, and surprisingly, it's a nice little hike through the hills of Louisiana. Have a couple of New York County high points. That's right, Archie. You've been working on that. Did you have a problem with Mount Magazine? No. Other than It was the first time I ever went out and was filmed an episode of Rooftops of America. So my my recollection of it was me scrambling around Signal Hill and like areas trying to figure everything out. And if you even go watch it, you can see like the dead cat, the shotgun mic. You can see the little like it's a hot mess. Like I said, I'm very proud of the work because I learned so much. But that first one, I was like, "Ooh, we've come a long way. We've come a long way." Um, I'm hiking Kings and Arvin. Kings was fun. Like I will say that it was a good three. We had a good 3 days. It rained all the way out on that third day. That's nice. You're gonna get to like good luck on getting to 40. I'm hoping to be there with you. Oh, the highest peak in Norway too. Um, so we're gonna try to post the King's Peak before June, but we were so wiped out we didn't finish all we finished the entire hike. Like that was all shot. And we shot most of the script, but there was still 2 pages left hanging out there that we haven't picked up. And we're still trying to figure out how we want to pick that up. Me personally, I want to go back to Utah and do it live on location. My uh, editor is saying, who's also my buddy Brett, who shot it, it's like, why don't you just do it at your kitchen table and just get it done so you can get something out to people? So 18 high points. I'm going to get 25 by the fall. That's I believe in you, Bill. I think you'll get it. What's the hardest eastern high point you've done? East of the Mississippi. The only one I've ever failed is east of the Mississippi, and that's Vermont, Mount Mansfield. But I wouldn't say that was necessarily the hardest. That was just bad conditions that day. Um, Good question. Good question. I guess Virginia. I guess Virginia, just because it's the one that's one of the more substantial hikes out here. I haven't done Maine yet. I know Maine can be a little rough. Um, I know depending on the route you go up, Mount Washington can be a little rough. And New York, of course, is significant. So that answer could change in a few months. What do you think are the most climbed and least climbed state high points? Good question, Archie. I would say the most Klingman's Dome got to be the most climbed state high point or the most summited. That's probably a better way to phrase it. But you got to, I mean, think the Smoky Mountains, like 5 million, or is it more? It's substantial. Like there's millions of people that go to that park every year. And they drive up to Klingman's Dome and they walk up to the saucer. So that's, to me, I think that's probably the most climbed state high point, hands down. Nothing else will come close. The least, good question as well. I'd put, that's a good question. Go 2 ways with it. You could say something like Gannett again, or Granite, or you could say some little off like Hoosier Hill. Like who's going to Hoosier Hill unless they're going there for a reason? Um, so that's a good question. I started Mount Arvin in October. No one had been there a week, so that was not. So my buddy, yeah, that's a word. People have snowmobiled Arvin when the snow starts coming down. Um, and you could put a good case probably for Charles Mountain. Yeah, and Loverfish, I think you're right. Got to be Gannett for logistics. It's such an effort to get there. Yeah, it was fascinating when I was working on the Tennessee script to see the sheer numbers. Like you think the national parks, you would, but the Great Smoky Mountains, that is hands down. Like I think you can take the next two or three national parks and add them all together and still not equal the amount of people that are going to the Smokies. Mauna Kea could very well. That's a good answer too. That's a good answer. With living out east, how tough is it to acclimate in some of the taller western peaks? So, Lover Fishy on here gave me the best advice ever on how to cheat your acclimation. And I think adjust every time when I'm doing this. Get super hydrated 2 weeks before you go. Get really good sleep, um, like a couple days before you go, and you should be okay. That has always seemed to work for me. The one time I didn't follow those rules was Nevada, and I paid a harsh penalty for it. That was a rough, rough day. So, um, yeah, Bill, you're right. Mount Washington is very touristy as well. Um, but that's how I've done the acclimation on the. Yes, ibuprofen in the morning too. Um, ibuprofen for the next morning too. So, wow, it is. I was expecting to do this for a half hour, and here we are, almost 46 minutes. Yeah, 46 minutes into this. So I think we might have to wrap for this particular one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you did, let me know in the chat or in the comments. And perhaps we'll do this again in like every 2 weeks. I think that might be good. It was great to talk with everybody. So I appreciate it. That's it. So, folks, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for being here. And thanks for watching and supporting the channel. For some of you, for years, I truly appreciate it. And I hope, we're going to continue doing this thing. So, you have a good night. Cheers.